Hi, and welcome to another installment of Games We May Never Play, the podcast where we play all the games that you might have on your bookshelf or your hard drive that you just never have time to. I'm your host, Michael R. Holmes, and this week we're going to be talking again about Troll Lord Games' Amazing Adventures. So for this episode and the episode following this, we're going to be doing an actual play of the game itself, based on the characters that we created in last week's episode with the people sitting at the table with me now. And let's go around the table and remind you who those people are. To my left, we have...
Hi, everyone. I'm Jameson. I'm going to be playing Ace Shields, an arcanist, but also a businessman. I'm excited to see how he gets tangled up with this group of ne'er-do-wells.
Hey everyone, my name is Stephen Pope. You can find me online at StephenJPope22, and I'm playing Moses Mo Levinson, the Gadgeteer, who is also a mechanic, because, fun fact, being a mad scientist doesn't really pay the bills.
Hi everyone, I'm Jay Africa, and I'm playing Josue Lee, a southerner, pugilist extraordinaire and theologian, a lost soul trying to find his place in the world after a war.
Ooh, I got a chill.
Right?
Nice.
That was very cool.
That was good.
This is good stuff.
Okay, and I'm Bryan Haskell. You can find me on Twitter at Bryan J. Haskell. That's Bryan with a Y and Haskell with two L's. It's kind of my catchphrase there, right there. I feel like I'm going to be saying that a lot. And I'm going to be playing Jimmy Gucciarelli. He's a fella from Hell's Kitchen, straight out of New York, born and raised. You know, fought Hitler, punched some Nazis, came home, doing a little wheelie dealing, mostly for himself, but some of it for you.
Do they call you the Gooch by any chance?
Anybody who does is 6 feet under.
All right, good to know. So the Gooch here... No, sorry.
So it's me and the Gooch.
And we're back. Michael Robert Holmes unfortunately fell down a elevator shaft and onto some bullets.
Fell onto some bullets.
It was very tragic. Freak accident.
Lead poisoning. You know,
Lead
it's terrible.
poisoning. Oh my God.
So if you're unfamiliar with the format of Games We Never Play, we break one game down into 4 episodes. The first episode, we talk about the basics of the system and go through some character creation. Next 2 episodes, we, as I said, go through actual play, picking out what we like, what we don't like along the way, and hopefully having a little bit of a good time. And then the last part of the series is the post-game show, where we talked about more in depth the things we liked, the things we didn't like, what we'd like to see in the future, and whether or not we think it is a game you should play, a game you may never play, or a game you should never play. So with that in mind, I am very excited to launch these 4 gentlemen into the world of amazing adventures with a little tale that I call Ghosts of Croatoan.
Ooh.
Dun 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 dun.
I am here for this.
Dig that.
It is autumn in New York City in 1948. None of the player characters know each other intimately. You may have heard of each other by reputation, but walking down the street, you would never know one another to look at them. Now, as these things are wont to happen, over the course of about 2 weeks, you all receive a plain envelope at the address of your choice. Perhaps it's your workshop. Perhaps it's your office. Perhaps it's your old lady's place.
Yeah, so's your old man.
There's no return address on it. There's a very ornately scripted card on the inside on very heavy, very fancy stock that says, "Be outside on the evening of October 2nd at 6 p.m. A driver will be by to take you. We appreciate your attention to this matter." And underneath that is a calligraphied A. It is now September 29th, and you have a few days before this appointment that you have very little detail about. What do you want to do before that time arrives?
I'd like to cast Detect Magic on the envelope and see if there's anything of an arcane nature.
Okay, so since you're using your primary ability, the base challenge rating that you have to get better than is a 12, and I'm just going to let you roll higher than a 12.
Okay, so roll a d20.
Plus your charisma, is that what we determined?
Charisma modifier? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. First roll of the game. Here it goes.
Hey! 19.
19 on the die. Plus a 3 for my mod. So 21.
Wait, 3 for your mod?
9 plus 3 is 22, buddy.
22. How do you math? Charisma's 18.
Okay, right. Sorry. So, there's something about this note. It's magical, but it's not a magic that you can easily identify. If anything, it feels... You've been struggling for days to find the way it makes you feel, but it feels like the overture to a symphony.
This feels like an overture to a symphony when I touch it.
Why did you become Solid Snake?
Snake?
Snake! Sorry, boss. With a roll that high, I'll give you a little more detail. You feel as if it has originated from nearby. You can't pinpoint exactly where. And it feels like there's almost the faintest scent of fresh flowers about it. Even though when you actually go to smell it, you can't. You just smell the paper.
I think I smell flowers, but I'm not sure.
And this takes him an entire month.
No, it only takes him a few days.
Oh, shit.
Just sniffing it, just like my ether rag.
And he passed out.
Leave the rag. Steven.
All right, so...
Sorry, Moses.
Yeah. So, Mo, he goes by Mo, he's on the roof of his workshop. It's a 3-story tall, some apartments, but the bottom floor is a garage. And he's on the roof, and he's wearing his new supersonic flight boots. And this is the inaugural test.
This can only go well.
Down on the ground floor is Benny, his quote-unquote assistant, but mostly he's the only one... he's the only kid left in Brooklyn who hasn't had a bone broken by Moses on accident. So... Okay, Benny, you watching?
I don't know.
You don't gotta do nothing, you just gotta watch, alright? You watching?
I guess.
Okay, and make sure to call the cops if I, break my neck,
I
okay?
don't want to call the cops.
Well, if I break my neck, you gotta do it!
What? Oh, jeez, just be careful, all right?
All right. Okay, we can do this. 1, 2, and he jumps on 2.
Okay.
And activates the boots.
Okay.
Which also activates the spell Fly.
Okay, now what is entailed with activating Fly? Do you just basically have to declare that it happens?
To my knowledge, yes.
Okay, let's verify that really quickly. Because I know there are rules for gadgets failing, but I think that has more to do with attacks. But since this is our first gadget use of the game, let's verify that, shall we?
I am totally down. Because if this fails, it will be very funny.
That is certainly one way to frame it.
Quote unquote funny.
Oh, hilarious.
Funny, haha.
I watched Jackass in high school. People falling off stuff is hilarious.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There you go.
It was a great show. Yeah. I like how the assistant sounds kind of like Morty, but not. It's like a Brooklyn Morty.
Sound anything like
Oh, jeez, Rick. Just shut up. This is gonna be fine.
Okay, so according to this, only gadgets that do damage require a roll, per se.
That makes sense.
However, if you'd like me to make a roll, since this is obviously the
Since
initial
it's the
test.
inaugural roll, yes, I'm going to make you do that.
Okay. Intelligence?
Flight, which would be dexterity.
Okay.
And
Quick
is that one of
question.
your primary attributes? Or your
It
second?
is.
Okay, good. So I'm going to make you get better than a 14.
Okay.
How high is he off the ground?
I don't know. How high are you off the
I'm
ground?
4 stories.
So you could very well be making a new character.
Yeah.
I'm prepared for that.
That's a crit fail.
Oh, God!
Oh no! I would like to apologize for killing Steve's character by jinxing it.
So technically, Steven, you are experiencing the imploding dice mechanics that Amazing Adventures has in place now. So I'd like you to roll a d6 for me.
Okay. All right. That's a 6.
I'd like you to roll that again.
Because that exploded.
That's a 1.
What's your current hit points?
My current hit points are 12.
Now they are 5.
Oh!
Because you've landed and broken your leg.
Oh!
Was it like a horse-drawn buggy coming beneath, and you just crash right through?
On the
Could it be a
horse.
garbage truck
Yeah.
just because it's funnier?
Yeah, absolutely.
full of broken glass.
No, it's garbage day, and there's the deli next door. So
They just threw out their oven.
yeah.
Not even kosher.
What was the kid's name?
Benny.
I'll call the cops. I'll tell them you're in the garbage yard.
Thumbs up from the back of the truck as I go farther away.
Banana peel off the side of your hand.
Off to Staten Island.
So there's a funny little montage of you getting fished out by the cops and a couple of men in medical jackets and being taken
my
to the
mom
hospital.
is going to kick my ass.
They go to throw away your boots. And exactly. And they're like, "We'll put them in evidence, kid. You can come get them when you're out of the
Evidence?
hospital."
What evidence? I fell off a roof.
Yeah, well, maybe somebody pushed you, huh?
Who would push me? Okay,
Well,
a lot
just-
of people would push me, but no, come on.
Come
Please
on.
give me my
Yeah,
boots
take it to
back.
the hospital.
Please
No,
give me my boots
no,
back.
No, well,
You
they'll be
wouldn't hit a
safe.
guy with glasses, would you? How about a guy with glasses with a broken, gimpy leg? Come on, please.
We're gonna set that gimpy leg. We're gonna make you all better, and then now you're in the hospital for a few days.
My mom's
Jay,
gonna kill me.
The scene wipes to a crowded basement, dockside basement, at which Josue is sitting at a table, drink in one hand and the invite in the other. He's gently dragging it across his nose, sniffing that scent of flowers. When a body comes tumbling out from a little fight area that has been set up by the crowd onto his table, he just pulls his drink out of the way as the body slams down. He says, hey, I paid good money for this. Listen, I'm here to fight and earn some coin, not waste it.
well, if you're here to fight, put your money where your mouth is. Ugh.
The only thing that I rely on, good sir, are my wits and words. And with that, I take a pair of brass knuckles. One is stamped with the word wits on it, and one is stamped with the word words on it. And I get ready to go fight for some money.
I love that.
You may have an additional fate point.
Thank you.
You earned that.
And you have my respect.
Would you
And my attention.
Why don't we have you get in a little bit of a fracas here, just
Okay.
so we can see what that's all about?
All right.
Okay, so you're led up the stairs to what is actually sort of a very well-appointed theater, for lack of a better term, but in place of where the stage is, there's more of something that's akin to a boxing ring. And there's men and women of all echelons of society on both sides. You know, there's bookies walking around taking bets. As soon as you enter the fray, you can definitely see some very excited people in the audience pointing to you, pointing to the bookies, and waving fistfuls of money.
Sure, I give him a little salute. You're betting on the right horse.
That's what I've heard about you, Lee. And you are led up the stairs to the ring, and they take you. What are you wearing at this point?
At this point, I'm actually wearing a pretty nice outfit with a white shirt, cream vest. I roll up the shirt sleeves. I don't care about getting my clothes dirty.
Sure, you've got the money for it.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
All right. And in is led a 6'7" hunk of Kansas beef with just almost white blonde hair, white blonde eyebrows, very pale skin, crystal blue eyes, wearing suspenders and work pants and work boots. He's definitely been here for the better part of the night, but it doesn't look like he's been able to go down just yet. And they call him the Boilermaker.
Oh.
Yeah. In this corner, we have the undefeated champion of the evening, the Boilermaker! And there's equal amounts of yay and boo from the audience. And in this corner, we have a new challenger! What name do you want to go by, kid?
Just call me Lee.
We have Lee!
And I slam my brass knuckles together in front of the crowd. Pang, pang.
All right, roll for initiative.
Okay, now, because I chose the quick trait, I have a +1 to my initiative, and
Awesome.
I would add my dexterity modifier to that.
No, it's just a straight 10.
Oh, it's just a D10 with
Yeah.
the +1. Right. Okay, I get a 9.
I got a 6, so you
Okay.
go first.
All right, let's see. I rush into cover the distance between me and, what was it, the Boilermaker?
The Boilermaker.
Which is a great name.
And as I rush forward, I just mutter under my breath, "The Lord is my shepherd," and I send out wits first, flying in an arc towards the Boilermaker's guts. Ooh, let's see. That's not particularly great. And that's a strength modifier, right?
Yeah, so it's a strength mod plus your base to hit plus a d20.
Okay, let's see. So that is a 13.
That actually hits him, though.
Okay, and let's see.
Because he's unarmored.
I am going to go ahead and roll my dice, my damage dice now. That's a d6. Do I add my strength modifier to this too, or is it just a flat d6?
Just a flat d6.
I did maximize it with a 6.
Okay.
So does that explode, or do I...
No, that's only if you
if I crit on
Yeah,
the hit.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
great. Fantastic. But that's a good solid hit on my part. Wit strikes first, and a little smile just curls up on my lip.
One thing to keep in mind in Amazing Adventures is that movement is its own unique action.
Oh,
so
sure.
if you wish, you can all move the standard 30 feet.
Okay.
But something that separates this from other games is you can either take your full 30 feet movement, or you can take half of that and another action.
Got it. Okay, so how much movement did it take me to close that gap? Was it just that 15 feet?
I mean, I feel like you guys were kind of led to each other.
Okay.
And then maybe just, a foot or two apart, and then you stepped in with wits and hit him where you hit him. So if you wanted to take a step back, you certainly could.
Yeah, you know what? I will sting and then back up. I actually have, because I'm quick, I have an extra 10 feet of movement.
Fantastic.
So I'm going to back up as much as I can just to try to draw him in to make him do something rash, hopefully.
Great. So basically you're stepping back 20 feet.
Yes.
Like a blur, and the audience is suddenly like, oh! So he's going to lumber towards you, and he seems like he's definitely at the end of his evening, but he's also pissed because you got him first.
Okay.
And that's going to be an 8, and that does not hit you, so he swings wide.
And I just duck under the way.
Yeah.
Duck out of the way. All right. In that case, I'm going to send words out this time to try to connect once more in the gut. Oh, and that is an 18.
All right.
No. You know what? I'm sorry. Part of quick reckless.
Well, 18 hits, I mean, regardless.
No, it's a 17. But yeah, that does still
Okay.
hit. Sorry. And I'm going to send out 5 points of damage this time around.
And where were you aiming for?
I'm aiming for the exact same spot that I hit the first
gut-
time. Just
gut?
bam, bam. Yeah.
Okay. And he stumbles back a little more. Do you want to take another move, or do you want to...
No, I'll keep the distance in.
Stand your
Yeah,
ground?
I'll stand the ground, try to send another flurry of hits in.
Okay, so he is going to try to grapple you,
Ooh.
which means basically that I'm rolling against a base AC of 15, which I get. So he's holding on to you. And this means... let me just confirm this real quick, how you break a grapple. He smells terrible. You can tell he's been drinking all night, and there's blood and sweat and just anything that could come out of a human body coming out of this guy right now.
I say, listen, I like you a
What?
lot too, but we just met.
Shoot, hold on a sec here.
trying to sound nonchalant about this fight. See if I could get into the Boilermaker's head a little bit.
How did I punch you there again? Well, I wasn't trying or nothing.
I'm so sorry. Hold
Yeah, no
on,
worries.
one movement. While I'm looking this up, what are you up to?
Oh, well, let's see. I actually, since I had the opportunity to go last, I've made a little bit of a background for my character. So I'm intrigued by this letter, and I kind of want to... Let me slip into my voice here. I kind of want to, since I'm a wheelie-dealy kind of guy, and, part of my shtick is I want to know more about the other guy than he knows about me. I'm going to talk to my on-again, off-again flame Dorothy Parker. She works at the New York Star, a newspaper. A little bit, blue-leaning, but, whatever.
Are you going to make me do a Dorothy Parker imitation?
I am.
I'm ready for it.
She's an actual, she was an American poet, writer, critic, and satirist based in New York. Oh, you know her, Steve.
I'm gay, of course I know her.
Well, she was best known for her wit, wisecracks, and eye for 20th century urban foibles, so no pressure or anything. So I see Dorothy over at the New York Star, and I say, hey, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. I'm an assistant to one of the councilmen. Maybe I know a few things that you can write about. Maybe you could tell me about this Ave character.
James,
Yeah.
what do you think you know that I don't already know?
Well, nothing you wouldn't find in a book.
Jimmy, you're in trouble again, aren't you?
I'm not in trouble. It's one of those things where I just want to know what I'm getting into. I'm trying to be cautious.
Well, you so rarely swing by anymore to say, "Hey, Dorothy, how's by you?" and take me out for a drink.
Well, you know, it's not for lack of trying.
Oh, Jimmy.
What, these baby blue eyes ain't doing it for you?
What's going on?
I just want to see if you've heard any scuttlebutt talking, people whacking their lips about this fella, and I show her the letter.
Wait outside. A.
Obviously, a letter of the alphabet ain't much to go on, but I thought maybe you've heard something.
Well, I mean, this is highly unusual. I mean, it's very nice paper stock. I don't know what anybody who would have the means to afford this or transmit such a message would want with you, but...
Know any wealthy poets?
Darling, I know all the wealthy poets. Jimmy, I'm sorry. There's not much I can do to help you right now in this regard, but if you survive your little adventure, I hope you'll tell me about it over a martini or something at the Algonquin room.
Well, all right. I may take you up on that, even though they're a little bit classier than me. You know, it's not really my kind of gin joint, but, you know, with a classy dame like you on my arm, what am I going to say? No? Of course not.
And she puts her hand on her shoulder and then traces her hand across your jaw, taps your nose. You're a dumpster fire, Jimmy, but you're a charming dumpster fire.
Well, maybe there's some perfume or something in there. I don't know.
Do you mind if I hang on to this and I'll let you know if I find out anything?
Yeah, that's all right. I made a couple of copies.
I'll give you a call in a few days, hopefully before your car comes to pick you up and take you wherever. And she waves a hand and she walks away.
Catch you in my dreams, Toots.
You'll be buying at the Algonquin room, by the way.
Oh, God, I gotta scrape up some clams.
So back to you. Now that he's got you grappled, basically you have to make a dexterity roll to evade his grapple.
Sure. Now, as a pugilist, I am going down and dirty, and I get a +1 to checks that help me evade grapples.
Great.
So let me go ahead and do that. Is that going to be a strength check?
Or strength
dexterity?
or dexterity?
Okay, I'm going to try to use my dexterous maneuvers.
You're trying to get better than a 14.
I got a 14 exactly.
Okay, so you are able to break off from the Boilermaker. He's going to stumble back, and he's going to come running at you. So that's his action.
Okay.
And that he backed up to try to gain some momentum, and you can see he's trying to sprint towards you. Well, sprint is probably the wrong word. Lumber towards you menacingly. So it's your turn.
Okay, as I see him dashing towards me, I pull my right arm back. My muscles get taut, and I'm going to try to send my fist just right at his forehead, which is leaning into the blow.
All right.
Oh, that's not great, though. I am only going to get a 6.
Why don't you use a fate point?
I would like to use that fate point,
reroll
actually.
that.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
going to burn that one extra fate point that I got.
That you got for your cleverness?
Uh-huh. And that's a little bit better, actually. I got a 14.
Okay, that definitely hits.
All right. So my brass knuckles connect with his forehead this time around, hopefully stopping his fist as it flies out, and I get 3. So I send out 3 points of damage to him.
Okay. So if you were to give a summation of this gentleman's going down, what would it look like?
Okay. As he lumbers towards me, his height stooping down. Yeah, the crowd goes silent. His yell is just so penetrative that the crowd goes silent. There is the sound of a clang against his skull and a collective that echoes and ripples through the crowd. And his eyes just go cross-eyed as he falls right off my fist, face down onto the floor with a loud thump. And then everybody just breaks out in cheering, money flying all over the place.
The proprietor of the club comes up, cigar in his mouth, tuxedo, white vest and everything. Mr. Lee, you want a future in this sort of establishment, you come talk to me, all right? My name is McGillicuddy. I think we could do quite well by one another.
I appreciate it, sir. I may be occupied over the next month or so, but rest assured that this establishment has found its way into my heart, and I shall be returning to show my skills.
Just be waiting outside. A hates to wait. And then he walks off.
My eyes grow wide, and then I recollect myself, and then I look at that invitation. I pull it out of my pocket, and I just walk into the crowd to collect my purse.
All right.
The letters match.
So, over the next couple of days, you're recuperating in the hospital, and you're in and out of sleep because they have you on a lot of morphine for your very broken leg. And during one kind of particularly...
Nurse, I will give you $10 if you could just get me my boots.
I don't think I can. I might lose my job. So
asleep.
during one particularly feverish dream, you think you see a figure come into your room, but it's very dream logic-y. You are almost expecting this individual. You feel like you're sitting up drinking a cup of tea, and you don't see any features, but they don't seem particularly menacing or anything. But they hand you another envelope, and as soon as you touch it, you wake up and you look over on your bedside table, and there's another envelope there.
They said my boots, not my mail. I grab it and I open it up.
We see your location has changed. We will come to you. A. And Mason, you, as the days go by, are... sorry, Ace. That overture of the symphony you're hearing in your head is growing louder, and it feels like it's progressing to the next movement in the piece as you move closer and closer to the evening of October 2nd. As you go throughout your day, what does your day normally consist of as an arcanist and mystical adventurer?
So as an arcanist, I take on work as it comes through. Most people want me to purify their house or find their lost keys. So I take small jobs to make the ends meet. But I've been spending the last few days or so tracking down all the local paper salesmen and seeing if they've sold cardstock of this type. And to whom.
Got it. So over the course of those few days, there are weird little synchronicities that keep popping up, and you keep seeing instances of the letter A. It's the first letter of the alphabet. Normal people probably wouldn't be looking for those connections, but for you, it seems a little too regular to be completely random. Dorothy calls you on October 1st in the evening. The phone rings. You pick up.
Hello, hello.
James, it's Dorothy.
Oh, hey, Dorothy doll. How's it going?
I've got some news for you. I think it's going to be fairly interesting to you.
Ah, lay it on me.
I had to do some fairly serious digging and talk to some people I don't normally speak with, but I think I might have found the origin of your letter.
Oh, well, do tell.
I don't have a name. A didn't get us anywhere, but this paper stock has been connected to other correspondence that some of my sources have seen originate from a place known only as the Hyperion Club. Does that name mean anything to you?
That's a very good question, does it?
Why don't you roll me a wisdom check?
Okay, so my wisdom is...
Or what is your... businessman? That's your background?
No, I'm politician.
Politician. I'll let you use the +2, but which is which is your secondary, wisdom or intelligence?
Wisdom.
Okay.
It's more like street smarts and stuff.
So you got to get better than an 18, but you're at a +2.
Okay. So am I rolling my mod plus my lever or just my base?
Just your base.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
this is for your saving throw.
Gotcha.
Sorry.
So this is with a +4. That's 18 plus 4, 22.
Okay.
All right.
You've heard of the Hyperion Club. All you know is that it is a very exclusive club that nobody that you know has been to, but there are whispers of things that go on there. Apparently, anything goes at the Hyperion Club. A lot of people from old money are known to frequent there, but it's also been known to be a haunt for certain types of bohemian artists.
Okay.
Basically, all you know about the Hyperion Club is that it is everything to everybody, according to what you've heard.
Well, Dollface, I know that my suit ain't expensive enough to get past the front door, but it's an anything goes kind of place. What about it?
Well, I don't know, Jimmy. I mean, you know, there's so many contradicting stories about what goes on at the Hyperion Club. I don't want to say I'm scared for you, but I can't tell you what to expect. Just watch yourself, Gooch.
Well, thanks, Dollface. I'll buy you a few martinis when I see you next. How about that?
You better. And you call me when you're done, all right?
You got it. Take care.
Good night, James.
Good night.
All right. And with that, it is the evening of October 2nd. Your boots have been returned to you, although it's very clear that somebody who shouldn't have been messing around with them has been messing around with them.
Sabotage.
I mean, it looks like they still work, but things are not where you'd originally left
That's
them.
not how you lace these things. What? Is this a paint scratch? This is a paint scratch.
The doctor.
I am suing the NYPD. I swear to God. Can I do that? I don't know if I can do that.
So the doctor comes in and he says, well, I'm not a lawyer, but I would probably recommend against it. Lucky for you, it turns out it was just a particularly bad fracture, so you'll have to be hobbling on that for a couple of weeks, but it wasn't a full break. Could have been a lot worse. And if I might offer you some advice...
Hugging my boots, I look at him, wide-eyed. Tell me, Doc, am I ever gonna dance again?
Probably, much to the chagrin of every woman on the east side. Somebody called you a cab. It's waiting outside.
I'll write you a cab.
We'll send you a bill. Try not jumping off any 4-story buildings anytime soon.
All right. Hobbling down the hospital corridor.
In just the clothes you came in?
Of course.
Yeah. What were you wearing?
Oh, I was wearing my.
Your whole getup?
It was most of my getup. I wasn't wearing this. I wasn't wearing the scarf or the glasses. I mean, not the glasses, the mask. But
Okay. So you go downstairs, and there are a couple of taxis, but as soon as you exit the hospital, you hear a voice say, God, what's your last name? Sorry. What's your last name?
Levinson.
Mr. Levinson.
Who wants to know?
You turn, and there's a beautiful Rolls Royce in front of you with suicide doors, the kind that open up this way. Mm-hmm. Luxurious upholstery. You can see a tray of drinks fixed to the other side of the car, and this very tall, very broad man with a driver's cap pulled low over his face says, "A is waiting for you."
Hey, I'm not gonna argue with a man who could, eat me. Hopples into the car, still holding the boots.
Shuts the door. He actually turns on the radio. You can hear a snippet of a news story about some sort of incident at an airport in Virginia, and then he switches it to some big band music. You drive a short ways to wherever you are located. Mm-hmm. So where are you located?
In New York. Because I don't know it very
That's
well.
all right.
How dare you?
But one would assume you've prepared. You're waiting outside. What are you wearing?
I am wearing my 3-piece suit. I have what looks like a scarf, but it's wrapped around my neck and pulled kind of low, very loose. And my fedora.
Love it.
My pieces are tucked lovingly under the jacket.
Great. So the car pulls to a stop, Stephen. The driver gets out and goes to the other side, opens up the suicide doors, and says, "What's your last name?" Sorry.
Shields.
Mr. Shields. A is waiting for you.
Hey, we finally meet. I get in, and I eye you down.
You see a 17-year-old with a cast on his leg.
It's very peculiar, but I've dealt with other...
I ain't A.
You're what?
I'm not A.
You're not 8.
I'm not A. No.
A.
And the driver shuts the door. And
Goddamn New York.
I'm B.
This charming routine continues, hopefully for many minutes past
Who's on
this.
first?
No, sir. I'm not A. Mr. A is not me.
Josue, where are you?
I am in an apartment that I have taken out in the East Village.
Okay.
Ooh.
Great.
And I'm actually I've done my due diligence. I've cleaned up my place, put everything away, put all my belongings.
You
in
had a
in
map
case.
open.
I did.
That's awesome.
And I am downstairs with my travel bag, invitation in hand, again, kind of just lightly sniffing at that scent of flowers, waiting to see if this ride is going to pan out.
So, as you're waiting in your apartment, the phone rings, and it's somebody from downstairs. Mr. Lee,
That is I.
A is waiting for you.
Far be it from me to decline such a classy invitation. I pick up my bag and I walk down the stairs, and I hope that the ride is decent.
So, you get downstairs, and there's this gorgeous Rolls Royce
Right.
up front. Silver, gray. I mean, it looks like something you saw in a magazine once. Nobody actually drives these things. The driver opens the doors, and you can see a gentleman in a fedora arguing with a 17-year-old about the alphabet, so far as you can tell.
Sir, now I'm southern.
Q comes before S.
You're not A, you're not 8. What the hell are you?
I'm Mo!
God damn.
And he beckons you inside.
Sure.
Are you A?
I sit across from you, about as far across from you as I can, and I say, "No, I am not. My name is Josue Lee," and I extend my hand to each of you.
Moses Levinson. Call me Mo.
Ace Shields.
Ace, wonderful. So,
You
just
can't
as
be
I
real.
suspected, neither of you are our benefactor, shall we say?
So far, no. I'm definitely not. I didn't know we were on the bus today.
And then the car departs. You all exchange pleasantries or not. Perhaps you sit in stony silence. I'm not the boss of you. And then where are you? So they can pick you up.
I have a small tenement, a little bit of a rat hole in Hell's Kitchen, west of Midtown, Central Park, all that kind of thing. I also have a map open.
Nice, love it. So wait, is the whole tenement yours, or you live?
I
there?
just live in a flat on the tenement.
Okay. Are you waiting downstairs, or?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So you're waiting and waiting and waiting, and finally this car pulls up, and out steps a man. Again, very tall, very broad. He has a driver's cabin. He adjusts, and the light catches him just right, and you can see that this eye is completely blind, and there's a deep scar that runs across it.
Ooh.
And he, very well dressed, steps up to you and says, "Mr. Gucciarelli,
Yeah, how you doing?
A is waiting for you."
All right. I'll go ahead and get in. With that nice a car, trust me, you don't want to leave it idling this neighborhood very long.
We'll be just fine.
All right. I put a very well-packed bag in the back and get in.
Awesome. And then you see these three men.
What are these two guys doing? Arguing about the alphabet? Hey, what are you, who's you?
Who's you?
Who's you? I asked first.
I asked second. What's your point?
That's a very good point. All right, Jimmy Gucciarelli. What's your deal?
Oh, that's how I know you.
What are you talking about?
You ran for office, right?
No, I didn't run for office.
You're that Gucciarelli?
I helped the councilman run for office. Jeez. I was his campaign manager, Forelli. 38th District?
I
What do
can't-
you know?
I can't vote. What do you want?
What do you mean you can't vote?
I can't vote.
He's 8.
So
I'm
as you're driving
17, you
along,
ass.
You guys can keep talking. The drivers picked you up at twilight, but even so, with all the twists and turns, it seems that it's gotten preternaturally dark in the car. You don't notice it at first, but after a while, you do notice that there doesn't seem to be any sort of city light coming through the window at all.
That's a neat trick.
Could I maybe make like a science roll or something
Also,
about this?
Josue, I would say that potentially you might have heard of him. Just so you know.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Sorry, yes. What do you want to do?
I'd like to roll sort of a science check on this because I would notice something like that.
Okay, what are you looking for specifically, I guess?
How do the windows do this?
Okay, so give me intelligence and a +2 for your background as a mechanic.
That is 15 plus my intelligence, 18.
Okay, so you've heard of some experimental technology that the Air Force is developing for the windscreens in their planes. So pilots who fly at high altitudes have adaptive windscreens so that they're not blinded by sunlight when they're in dogfights.
And now you can get your car tinted for $50.
Yep. Yeah, Mo is whatever. If he was arguing with you still about the A thing, he's done. He is focused on these windows, and he is just like enamored with the tinting technology.
Oh, that's a pretty neat trick.
I'm glad it wasn't just me. I thought my eyes were deceiving me, and I take another swig of the gin and tonic. For that, I fixed myself from the little wet bar over there.
Sure. Has anybody else fixed themselves?
Oh, is that a
drink?
wet bar?
Yeah.
Of course, I'm gonna have 3 fingers of whiskey on the rocks.
This way or this way?
This way.
Okay.
3 fingers pointing downwards into the glass.
Jimmy's gonna eye it a little warily and wait for everyone else to take a swig before he pours himself.
Because you're smart.
I have a cautious trait.
Indeed. There's nothing wrong with the booze. It's exceptional quality. You continue for about 20 minutes, and since you have no idea what's outside you, you have no idea where you are. But the next thing you know, the car comes to a stop. The engine turns off. You are in complete silence, and the driver comes around and opens the door and says, "This way, gentlemen."
By this time, Jimmy has not only had a drink, but he has filled his hip flask.
Excellent. You are in a subterranean parking garage that seems to be quite spacious, but you don't see any other vehicles in the garage. It is well lit, and it is just you and the driver. He leads you over to an elevator whose double doors are very much Art Deco, and they have an image that looks something akin to like a phoenix rising from the ashes. With a ding, the door opens, and inside is luxurious satin paneling, and there are 2 buttons in the elevator. There's up and down. You are currently on down. So he beckons you in, and once you're all in, he nods, and he presses the up button, and there's a brief moment's hesitation, and then I need you all to make a dexterity check.
Okay.
No mods, well, except for whatever your mods normally would be.
Hot damn.
This isn't a save or anything like that.
No, this is just to see. And remember, if it's a secondary trait for you, you have to get better than an 18. But if it's a primary, you have to get better than a 12.
Primary 17.
Okay, you're good?
All right. That's just an 8 for me.
Okay, so you are actually knocked off your feet because it accelerates so quickly.
Sure.
You weren't expecting it.
I got a 7.
So you also collapse, but with your fractured leg in the cast, you tumble awkwardly over Mr. Lee.
Yeah, can I break his fall?
Breaking,
Can I,
sure.
can I break his
Yeah,
fall?
yeah.
I catch the kid and I'm go, whoa, steady there, Junior.
19.
Okay, so you're good. And
Thanks,
the
Mr.
driver remains stock still, and then after about 15 seconds, it slows, and you can hear the... And then it feels like the elevator floats on a cushion of air for a moment before coming to a stop, and the doors open, and there's this gorgeous parlor with all of this dark wood and heavy leather-bound books on the walls. There's a fireplace in one corner, and there's a 180-degree window that overlooks Central Park, part of the water, and other parts of New York City. You have no idea where this vantage is possible from. But there are also some chairs and leather couches around a circular table, and the driver beckons you over to them.
Thanks, Mac.
I hobble on over.
So you sit down, and the driver disappears. Like, as soon as you sit down, you turn around, and he's gone.
Do we see anybody there? Or, I mean, are there any other presences beyond us? Or
Not that you can tell.
not that we can tell?
Maybe a helpful B or an X or a Q.
Or a fairy, or...
Yeah, something like
a
that.
B, like the letter B. I thought
Yeah,
meant
you know,
helpful.
see, because we were doing the alphabet riff before, and I thought this is a continuation or a callback,
Right.
you know. Anyways.
So, about 10 minutes pass. I don't know if you guys want to... Well, we're running short on time, so let's assume that you continue the same sort of banter that you're doing.
Yeah, so's your old man.
And then eventually, the driver returns with a heavy leather-bound box with 2 brass clasps on the front, and he puts it on the round table in front of you. He opens it up, opens the lid, and it's a phonograph player. He turns around, he goes to a shelf and pulls out what looks like a leather-bound book and brings it over, opens it up, and inside is a brown paper envelope that he lifts up that seems to have 1 record in it. He carefully puts the book down, takes the record out of its sleeve, carefully places it on the phonograph. The light catches it just right, and you can tell that it's never been played. Places it down, sets the needle, steps back, rests his hands in front of his crotch. I was trying to think of a fancier way to say that, and I couldn't.
His junk.
His junk. There's a moment where we hear the before the track actually starts. And you hear a voice. Since the record's never been played, it's pristine. It's warm. The voice sounds almost robotic and yet familiar at the same time, and it's very hard to tell if it's a man or a woman. Gentlemen, I want to thank you very much for attending the Hyperion Club this evening. My name is A. DeWitt, and while we've never met, I believe we will be of great use to one another in times to come. I apologize for the approach that brought you here, but it is my way. I find that when meeting new business associates, it's best to keep an air of mystery, to see what one is made of. I hope, in time, you find this agreement to be beneficial. I am possessed of knowledge of each of you that has led me to believe that you will be useful to me in a goal that I wish to accomplish. I know that some of you are possessed with talents, skills, and acumen beyond those of your peers. I know some of you have seen things. Some of you wish to see things. Some of you are adept in mechanics in ways others are not. And some of you are most persuasive. I wonder if any of you have ever heard the tale of the lost colony of Roanoke. I remind you this is a recording, and I can't hear your response. So allow me to continue. There was a colony in Virginia in the colonial days that mysteriously disappeared one day. The only clue to its disappearance was a single word: Croatoan. That area is now part of Roanoke, Virginia, and as you may, or more likely may not know, the municipal airport of Roanoke is undergoing an expansion right now, as air traffic after the war has increased. But with that have come reports of supernatural activity at the site. There are whispers of a dark force calling itself Croatoan. Now, this may be nothing at all, but for such resourceful men as yourselves, I wonder if I might not enlist your aid in determining, perhaps, on what is going on there. You see, I'm of a philanthropic bent, and I like to help my fellow man and woman, regardless of race, creed, or color. But I have found that I have a talent for unusual situations. Perhaps this is some sort of mechanical hoax. Perhaps this is a testing of a community's conscience. Perhaps it is human corruption at its most basic. Or perhaps there are much darker forces at work than I can yet comprehend. I must apologize for short notice, and I am to understand some of you brought belongings. You will need them as you leave within the hour at LaGuardia Airport for Roanoke. Should you prove fruitful to me in this endeavor, there is potential for others. And rest assured, this will be a most lucrative endeavor for all involved. I appreciate your efforts in advance and look forward to working with you in the future. I have some trinkets I would like to send along with you for good luck. My man Hephaestus will assist you with those. If we shall meet again, I assure you, it shall be in person. This is A. Good luck, and good evening. With that, the record ends.
We'll add some cool sound effects in later.
Yeah.
But it was good. Very nicely done.
Yeah.
We're not done yet.
Well, no, obviously.
So Hephaestus, during the time that A has been speaking on the record, again, moving when without you really noticing, like last thing you knew, he was standing behind you, and then all of a sudden he's in front of you with an ornate case. He opens it up, and there's 5 spheres in front of you. They appear to be about the size of traditional Christmas ornaments. They are kind of translucent glass, and you can see that there is some sort of fluid inside them that is somewhat viscous. It's a little iridescent, and he presents one to each of you.
I gladly take it.
I shake it like a snow globe.
And he puts his hand next to yours and says... Well, he
He
doesn't say
shakes his
anything. He
head.
shakes his head.
Sure.
Yes,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Right. This
Michael
is
is
audio.
shaking his
Sorry.
head. This is a theater of the mind.
Yes, sorry. I shake my head for Hephaestus shaking his head.
All right.
I look at my sphere, then I look at the phonograph, and I look at the record, and I say, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Jeremiah 29:11.
Hephaestus grins.
Yeah, real pretty, Doc. And Moses has it like real close to his eye. He's trying to see through it, trying to figure out what exactly is inside it.
Yeah. So Jimmy kind of notes Hephaestus like basically wave him off doing that, and so he's like, "What is this, nitro or something?" And he looks very concerned.
Nah, it ain't nitro.
All right.
This is all well and good and secret societies and all that, but who's gonna pay us for this?
Yeah. What kind of lettuce are we talking about here?
Mr. A's gonna pay us. Were you not
Yeah,
listening?
yeah. But what
How
kind of money
much?
are we talking? I'm gonna make sure this is worth my while.
I'm going to say, now, gentlemen, I do come from a place of means, shall we say. And I can assure you that looking at everything around us now and looking at this view before us and this technology that we are facing, this seems worth our while.
Yeah. All right. This guy looks like he's got a wad. All right.
So Hephaestus has disappeared again,
Whoa.
and then comes back in, and he has changed his... No, he hasn't changed his clothes. I don't know why I was going to add that. It's wearing the same
That
thing
would have
he
been
was.
very impressive.
Yeah.
Costume change.
This guy
Wearing
must
an
be in
Elvis
theater.
jumpsuit right now. No, but he does beckon you back towards the elevator. Your inventions have been collected from your apartment. They will prove useful on this endeavor. Forgive us for your trespassing. We will repay any damages that may have been done.
Hey, don't worry about it. You gotta be better than the NYPD. Look at this. Look at this. They scratched the paint.
Yeah, all right. So you said we're going to LaGuardia, huh?
Indeed.
All
You're
right, well.
flying on an unmarked private plane.
Never been on a plane before.
It is not
Yay.
as ostentatious as the car that brought you here, but you will meet with our pilot, Roger Dunn.
Is he a good pilot?
He's one of the best.
All right.
He's one of the Tuskegee Airmen, if that means anything to you.
As a matter of fact, it does. Does anyone want to give a history lesson for the Tuskegee Airmen?
Sounds like you do.
Well, let me Google it for you because I've only
Don't volunteer unless you know.
They were, I believe, a squadron of all African American pilots during World War II. Flew out of Tuskegee in Alabama and undertook some of the most dangerous missions of the war.
I think the movie Red Tails is about him.
Yes, it
correct.
was.
Yeah.
And you could read all about it in Red Tails.
The movie by George Lucas.
For some reason. But yeah, so he beckons you to the car, lets you know that Roger will be flying you out. He does give you a little bit more detail on what has been going on there. There is already an existing airport in Roanoke, but as A alluded, they are working to expand it since air traffic in the region has expanded as well. And as part of the groundbreaking process for a new extension, strange things have been happening, and there have been ghostly apparitions that have been sighted. He also mentions specifically a local religious figure named, I actually gave this guy a name, hold on, the Reverend Dr. Edward Monahan, who is telling them that by desecrating the sacred grounds that their ancestors died on. They are angering the spirits not only of the colonials, but also of the Indians who died on that soil. And there can be no good that can be brought by expanding that airport. Odd that a religious figure would be so caught up in this financial transaction, in this real estate. But so it goes.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, they didn't move the bodies. They just moved the headstones.
He lets you know that unfortunately there's very little aid to be offered once you are on the ground, but that A trusts you implicitly to take care of any inquiries or investigation that needs to be done. Also realizes that none of you have yet worked together and apologizes in advance for any poor behavior on anybody's part. He does go on to say that in the event of catastrophic emergency, that there is one of A's compatriots in the area, one Helmut O'Sullivan, who goes by the colorful moniker Achtung Cowboy.
I'm gonna take it this guy is German.
Half German.
It's like German-Irish.
Yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting.
His parents fought a lot, but man, did they make love.
And so much cabbage.
So much cabbage.
But he is hopeful that you will not need to call upon the services of Mr. O'Sullivan. And in the time that it takes you to do this, somehow you have found yourself at LaGuardia Airport. You are dropped off towards the end of the runway. You see other commercial jets flying.
Not jets.
Jets, but commercial planes flying off in the distance. And to your right, there is a very nondescript looking double propeller passenger plane. And taking care of it is an African American gentleman wearing a bomber jacket and a bomber's cap with a scarf around it, making sure with his crew that the plane is ready to take flight. And he turns around and he says, "Y'all must be the fellas that A was telling me about. My name's Roger. I'll be your pilot for this evening. Sorry, there's no entertainment on this flight."
Jimmy pulls out his hip flask and taps it and says, "I got all the entertainment I got right need right here."
Man after my own heart. You can stow your gear, whatever you want, underneath the plane here. Take good care of it.
Yeah. Hey, I heard you flew with the Tuskegee Airmen.
Yes, sir, I did.
Mad props there, fella. Sorry. Let me try that
Thank
again.
you. I don't
That was
have
very
any idea
anachronistic.
what that means, but I appreciate the sentiment, I believe.
Respect. You guys were giving us some plenty fine cover over there.
Well, I was just doing what I was paid to do, sir. Turns out I'm really good at shooting down Nazis.
Well, hopefully you won't need to do any tonight.
Bless you, son.
If I get home without shooting any Nazis any day, I consider it a good one. Let's hope tonight is just par for the course, all right?
Yeah, you and me both, brother. All right.
Gentlemen, we're on a tight schedule, so if I could please urge you to get on the airplane and take a comfortable seat, I'll do my best to get us there in one piece. All right. Blocks up.
All right.
Okay.
You get on the plane. There's very, very minimal lighting. And, I mean, there's just basic seats, nothing fancy. Roger gets in the cockpit and you can see there's room for him and a co-pilot, but it's just him. And he says, "If anybody ever wanted to ride up front in an airplane, now's the time to do it."
I hobble up. Yo, hey, hi. How you doing?
How old are you, boy?
He says he's 8.
You may have a fake point.
17, sir.
17? It was about your age when I tried to enlist.
Yeah. Turns out 14's not good enough, but we'll talk about that later.
All right. Well, hobble on up here, and don't touch nothing unless I tell you to, all right?
I want to touch everything.
And he gets in the plane. You can see him communicating with people on the ground. The door is shut and locked. What were you going to say?
Oh, no, Jimmy goes ahead and takes a seat. He's got his hip flask in one hand, and the other hand is very tightly gripping the armrest.
Does Jimmy not like to fly?
He does not. There's some stuff there. Okay.
That's good to know. And after a moment or two, you take flight. You bank over the lights of the city as evening is in full effect. And there's some light cloud cover. The moon is not full. It's, on its way towards being a new moon. And you head south towards Roanoke. And as you cross the boundary of New York City, you might see sporadic little lights designating outlying towns. And after a while, those go away. And after a while, you're flying alone in the dark. And that music that you've been hearing in your head reaches the end of a movement on a minor key. That's where we're going to end it for right now.
Nice. All right. Wow.
Cool.
Very cool.
So that was part 1 of Ghosts of Croatoan for Amazing Adventures from Troll-Lord Games. So next week we are going to do the second part of our actual play. I'm pretty excited about it. I don't know about you guys.
I have a question. Is this a scenario that you've written, or is it an actual Troll Lord scenario?
This is all me.
Wow.
All right.
Good. This is really... I got chills.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Troll Lords does have a few actual adventure paths or scenarios that you can get, but I wanted to kind of do our own thing because I didn't want to spoil anything that they had published. So.
Yeah, makes sense.
But anyway, I have been your host for this episode and Game Master. I am Michael Robert Holmes. You can find me on Twitter at MRH_3E, or you can find me on Instagram at Michael R. Holmes. And Mason, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram, is where I mostly do my posting. GM_Mace, like the weapon. I'm starting to use Twitter more, so you can find me at @striking_rogue. And yeah, that's where I'm at mostly.
You can find me at Stephen J. Pope 22 on both Instagram and Twitter. You can also find me on Saving Throw Show at Saving Throw Show sometimes, and also every Monday on Uncanny Valley and a Chronicles of Darkness actual play. I'm going to be able to say that in one go eventually. And you can find that at Uncanny Show.
And hi everybody, I'm Jay Africa. You can find me on Twitter at JAfrica and on Instagram at TransplantAsian.
And this is Bryan Haskell. You can find me on Instagram at Bryan.Haskell. That's Bryan with a Y and Haskell with 2 L's. Or on Twitter at Bryan J. Haskell.
And you can find the podcast on Twitter and Instagram at GWNP_pod. You can find us on Facebook as well. If you like what you're hearing, definitely send us a message. We want to hear about what games you never get a chance to play that maybe we can for you. So until next time, take care, be well, see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.